My name is Eitan Chatayat and welcome to I'm That podcast, where I get to talk to some pretty incredible people. Some are friends and colleagues, some are clients, and some are people I haven't even met yet. On I'm That, we'll hear from them about who they are, what they do and why, stuff they love or hate, mistakes they've made, victories they've had. They're all known for something, but by the time we're through, the hope is they'll have revealed some things we didn't know about them. Our talk may be deep, profound, funny, who knows really. One thing for sure, it'll be interesting and honest. So if you're up for that, thank you for joining me on I'm That, and here we go. So hey everyone, I'm here with Mia Talias, who is a social media warrior advocate, one of my absolute favorites. And I'm looking at Mia right in the eyes when I say that because she is. I asked her to write a bio and send it to me so that I can properly represent. And this is what she wrote, okay? This is why I love her. I'm on my way now, don't have my other phone with me, right? She's got two phones. I can't write an about me for the life of me. I have no clue what to say, but I'll write since October 7th. Since October 7th, I've been fighting against the overwhelming pro-Palestinian propaganda, lies, and misinformation on social media. And you can follow her, and that was it, by the way, that was the bio. And you can follow her on her Instagram and TikTok at Mia Talias, which is MIATALIAS. And her YouTube is at Cray is Taken, CRAYISTAKEN. We're meeting for coffee and going there at 11, right? That's what she wrote. Mia, hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, well...
I don't know. I think it's like the tell me about yourself question, because I literally, I don't know what to say about myself. I have no clue.
Okay, so let me open up the way I usually do, or, you know, a few times I haven't, I've forgotten to, but I didn't this time. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
And then all you need to do is complete the sentence. So here's the question. Mia Talias, I'm that.
Hates liars, hates propagandist person.
That's good.
Or I'm that bitch. That could also...
No, I think the first one. But I think, yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. So let's just get in, because I think that's the perfect segue. Because I mean, why? What?
I don't know. I think the thing is, I always hated liars since I was a little girl. I just couldn't handle it. I've always been like this disgustingly honest person to the point that one time when I was little, my mom like thought something bad was done. I don't even know what happened, but something bad was done, and she thought it was my sister, and she blamed my sister, and she gave my sister a punishment. And I even heard like the punishment. It was like a really severe like punishment type thing. And then I heard it, and even as a little girl, I came up to her. I was like, "No, Mom, like this was me. Don't blame her. I'll take the punishment like on myself." Like when probably 99% of kids my age would have been like, "Oh, I got away with this. Like this is great," because she had no reason to not believe this isn't my sister until I came up to her and was like, "So like I've always been honest."
Why weren't you my sister?
I would have helped you get away with things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's this honesty also comes with the overwhelming need to expose people that are not honest. And I've always been like that. So I guess this is where my undying drive to continue talking about this comes from, because I physically can't stop, because as long as they can't stop lying, I can't stop debunking their lies.
So, I mean, just to give people context, because I think a lot of the people, because of the viewers, you know, it's mainly Fortune 500 companies. A lot of the viewers, I would imagine, don't know who you are. The people who, you know, on social media, on the other platforms, as we are on and how we met, they do know. And if they don't, they should. But I'll give a little bit of context. So you have been very vocal online in debunking a lot of lies that are being spread about the Jewish people and Israel. That's it in a nutshell. But what's unique about you and why I like you so much is because you have a very unique style. And the style for me is, first, research. You do your research. Like you fact check.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one thing. The second thing is you're exactly what you just said. You're blisteringly honest and direct and in your face. And the third thing is you're funny as shit. Like your delivery is like, I'm not funny. I'm never funny. I'm
No,
not,
you are funny.
well, in person I can be, but like, I'm not a funny guy. You know,
I think you're funny.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But we're talking about you. You are funny. And I think that combination is something that really sets you apart. You know, I've been following your work for around 5 or 6 months, and there was a video that you made that really blew me away, which is when you were speaking about a woman that stood up at some, I don't know, conference, and she was speaking up, she was lying. And then you took her down, and you did it with such authority. So that's kind of like what you do. And there are a lot of people right now in our neck of the woods, the Jewish world, who are trying to fight the good fight. It's not putting people down. It's not that we're against Palestinians. We are just against the lies. And that's what we're trying to do. So that's to set the context for the people who don't know you, that it's not just some pro-Israeli, pro-Jewish propaganda shit. I mean, it literally is a fight to right the wrong and to set the truth apart from the lies. And what I'd love to hear from you is, beyond what you just said now about your upbringing and who you are as a person and why honesty is so important to you, why are you doing what you're doing right now with the battle that so many Jewish people are fighting?
Well, it's not, besides the obviously need to expose and to tell the truth about Israel and like the love for my country and wanting everybody to know what's actually going on here. Like, you know, I always tell people, just come here, like stop talking, stop blabbermouthing, just come to Israel and you'll see that this is not real. So besides that, the reason I'm doing this is not just to debunk and to maybe hopefully either quote unquote convert somebody who is, and I'm going to say quote unquote pro-Palestinian because I don't believe they are pro-Palestinian. I don't think they care about Palestinian people at all. Or to maybe get to somebody that doesn't actually have an opinion and could like listen, like see it and listen to the truth and then see what's actually going on. But it's also for other Jewish people or pro-Israeli people that feel alone wherever they're at in the world, or even in Israel, like to make them feel somebody standing up for me, because so many people wish they could talk and they don't talk because either, I don't know, they don't have the means or the confidence or the ability to speak or the language. So then they feel spoken for. And I can tell you, like, prior even to October 7th, Israelis specifically, they're so thankful, like, to the world. And I'm speaking even about myself, like, in that matter, because obviously I'm Israeli. When we see somebody just even saying the word Israel, or it's like, it could be like, I don't know, some celebrity or some president even of a country just liking us or just being like, oh, Israel's this. Oh, just an article speaking about Israel found this new discovery. So it's like, oh, like Israel ala mapa, like Israelis on the map, like they know us, they recognize us. Like, so we're so excited when somebody even just says Israel or talks about us or knows about us, or forget the fact when they're pro-Israel, when, for example, you'd see a singer like raising the Israel flag or even says, hello, Israel, or even wants to come to Israel. So it's like, we're so thankful for that. And then at the time of need, seeing people speaking up for us, it just feels like the biggest hug in the world for us. And I can only imagine it's also the same for Jews in the diaspora when they are sitting, you know, over there feeling overwhelmed by the pro-Palestinian protests, which I think are, you know, loud minority, but whatever. And when they're afraid to speak up in all this noise, I think when they see somebody like being able to break through all the pro-Palestinian propaganda and thing on social media, and there's just a tiny beak of light speaking the truth, I think it gives you so much hope. And so, yeah, this is why I'm doing this alongside the other reason. Just the one message of somebody being like, you are my reason to, like, you are giving me hope. You are the only time I smiled since October 7th. You are, like, giving me the will to, like, go on. And you've given me the confidence to speak up. All these things, like, this is why I spoke for way too long. Oh, my God, I'm sorry.
No much, no. So I have another question. So it's about empowerment, and it's about speaking up and giving people confidence, and also, you know, righting the wrong, which is a value. You know, to me, you're all about values, which is another reason I love you and everything that you're doing. Because I think that it takes conviction and leadership and moral clarity to do what you're doing. And you're young. How old are you?
Almost 27.
Right.
I'm going to be 27.
Right. And I'm 52. I think you're wise beyond your years. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about is when you have this ability creatively, and it's very creative what you do. And I'm going to put a couple of the links in the comments for one or two of the pieces that I love. As a creative, as a writer myself, as someone who's been doing creative for like almost 30 years, I think a lot of people don't know what it is that we creative people do. And it isn't just like I wake up one morning and I make a film, or I do an animation, or there's a banner with a headline. It takes ideation, it takes thinking, it takes nixing things and making the informed decision about this is what I want to say. And then you have to figure out how you want to say it, and then you have to edit it. Now, I want to go back because when I discovered you, I looked at your profile, and not in a creepy way. I went back.
Not in a creepy way.
Not in a creepy way, because I know what it takes. I know. I'm in branding. I'm a craftsman. I know that it takes work, and I wanted to see how you were way at the beginning. And I want to talk about the actual work that you do, because you don't just get on and just do it, or maybe you do at this stage, which you probably do at this stage, but how did you start? And not even about the Jewish advocacy. How did you start? Because I want people to know.
Start in what sense? Start what?
Making videos the way that you do.
The Israel videos?
No, before. Even before Israel. Because it takes a certain skill to make videos, whatever the content is. And I think it takes practice.
I've just been on online for so long. It's like it just natural at this point. Like I don't think about it at all. I do literally just open the camera and do it.
Yeah.
Then, like for the past, I don't know how many years, because I was online, on YouTube since 2014, like since I was probably 16, 15, something like that. So obviously way in the beginning when I was a teenager, like it was something that I needed to build up, and that confidence and all that.
So why did you do that when you were at 16, you got online and...
Yeah. Again, when I was 16, I was making like gaming videos on YouTube.
That's what I want to talk about. Like, how did you start?
So it's funny because it's like I used to play Sims, and I just was speaking with my cousin, and my cousin was like, sometimes I get bored playing The Sims. And me as a 16-year-old, I was like, oh, why would he tell me that? Now I'm going to get bored. And I was like, I don't want to get bored of The Sims. So I just looked up on YouTube, like, things to do on The Sims, and I found this girl that was making videos on it, and she was just creating this plot, and I was like, oh, this seems so much fun. So I just started watching her, and I was really enjoying it. And then she finished her series, and I was like, this was so much fun, and if I did that too, I could also enjoy playing The Sims, and like I could also make other people enjoy watching just like I enjoyed watching her. So I just started I did the same thing, like my own Sim series, and immediately kicked off, because back then there was space on YouTube. There wasn't like a million accounts of every subject you'll find. So there was space for people to do YouTube. So yeah, I just started doing that. It was so much fun. It immediately kicked off. People enjoyed it. So that's how it happened.
So it had nothing to do with Jewish advocacy, nothing to do with being Israeli, just...
Nothing.
And that was...
I even hid that, by the way.
You did?
Yeah. That's also, I used to, at the time, work on my accent very much to make it obviously not Israeli.
Why?
Because there's obviously hate towards Israelis. There has been before. There has been always. Specifically from Malaysians. I don't know what's going on in Malaysia, I swear. But yeah, I used to be afraid as a teenager that they would find out. And I was like, I don't want them to know where I'm from. I just want them to enjoy what I do without judging me based on the country I'm in.
And that was 8 years ago. What a turn of events over 8 years.
10.
So did you say 2014 or 26?
2014. I was
2014.
16,
Sorry,
yeah,
my
I was
bad.
16.
Yeah. Wow. And look at you now.
Yeah, I know. And then, obviously in the beginning I was thinking, so I would listen to songs, and I would watch TV, and would make my accent. It used to sound more American than what it is now. Obviously, my accent has been influenced by the British accent a lot. Because I've been in a 6-year relationship until now with somebody from England. So now it's completely been influenced, obviously because we live together for so long. But before that, it was very American. I used to watch Disney and stuff like that, like typical stuff like that. And I would practice my English, obviously, with songs, and I would try to just sing along, learn the lyrics, stuff like that. And I pretty much taught myself English. And
did you do that stuff on like? Did you sing on camera and did you perform on camera?
No. I used to actually do lip syncing videos on YouTube before it was cool. Now lip syncing is like a thing.
That's why
obviously TikTok is.
Yeah, and you're so good. I mean, like, listen, again. So I'm 52. I'm the uncoolest person in the world. And then when I first saw that lip syncing stuff, and you're the first person that I ever saw do it. And I thought that was your invention.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
And I was like, wow, she's amazing. And then I saw everyone was doing it. But yeah like even that.
TikTok is literally the lip syncing app. That's what it is. Like you lip sync to songs, you lip sync to audio, stuff like that. But I used to do it before it was cool. I used to lip sync to Hamilton. I need to show this to you. To Hamilton songs. And I would do all the characters and like it would just be different characters.
Are you serious?
It's so funny. I swear. Yeah.
Have you seen Hamilton live? Did you see it?
Of course. I went twice.
Oh, you did?
I loved it. It was amazing. Hamilton is the best.
Yeah, I've seen it on the, was it HBO or something, but now I'm dying there.
Oh my God, it was so, I didn't see it with the original cast, but oh my God, both casts I've seen it with. I'm pretty sure I saw it one time in America and one time in England. It was amazing.
So do you act?
Do I act? No.
Because you're just like such a natural performer.
Yeah, I've been told. I don't act. I don't professionally do any of that. I did used to work in the police academy here in Israel as an actress for the simulations they do for the officers over there. Yeah, they've built like a whole kind of fake city in there. It's in the Bet Shemesh. So it's inside the police academy, and it's like a fake city with like a bank and a discotheque.
What?
And and like little apartments or like garden homes and stuff like that. And then us, the actors, would basically emulate these scenarios that could that the police officers could run into, and that would be a test for the officers how they act in those moments with us.
So they put you in this. They put you in this kind of like fake city, and they say, okay, and they give you like a bit of a brief. Okay, this is what kind of like has to happen. Make it natural, and we're going to bring in real police to see how they handle the situation.
Exactly. So they train the officers before they obviously go to the field, and this is like one of the tests they have to do. So it's the physical test. They obviously have their like writing down tests and stuff like that. But yeah, it was incredible. One of the best jobs I ever had. And then they cut us off because of budget or whatever. But we didn't even get paid that much. We were all there for fun. Like we would have probably accepted getting paid less, but like just to stay there, we all had so much fun.
So wait, so got it. So you, in terms of like work, because like again, you're an advocate, you're an influencer, whatever we want to call you, but like people see you online and they see the work that you're doing, but I don't think that they know anything about you beyond that. And I think that's the purpose of this podcast. It's not to talk about the stuff that we're doing right now only. It's also like to get to know you, the person. And that's what I want people to know. It's like, Mia, the person. So what do you do? I mean, what's your everyday life?
Well, right now my everyday life is pretty chill. Like I wake up, I do kind of what I want. I drink a cup of coffee. I'm
a big fucking mug of coffee.
It's either a big mug or it's like 3 in a row. It really depends. I just keep filling myself up. But yeah, I'm just kind of relaxing at this moment, enjoying the time I have to relax until I soon won't. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I just chill out. I do what I like to do. I like to draw. I like to. My favorite thing is obviously to make to advocate. I do a lot recently. Well, not a lot recently, but a couple months ago, I was really, really heavily into it. Just TikTok lives where you debate live people that claim to be pro-Palestinian. And it's one of my also favorite things to do. I uploaded 2 of my own, like when I hosted lives, which I don't unfortunately do often, and I should. But I hosted probably 2 months ago, and I uploaded both of those to YouTube, which is just 8 hours. One of them is 8, one of them is 12 hours of just me sitting there and debating pro-Palestinians.
So wait, so for the people who are not on TikTok, you go on TikTok, you open up the the room or whatever it is, and people can join and they can debate you.
Exactly.
And you did that for 8 hours and 12 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours and 12 hours. And I just sit there and debate. Like anybody can go on YouTube and see that. It's kind of like a podcast, to be honest, to listen to, just like if you want to have something you want to listen to. But yeah, nothing on earth could have me sit down for 8 hours and like talk about it unless I had like a burning passion in my stomach to do that. I can't stop. It's like stronger than me to want to sit there and debunk what they're saying. Like I can't even explain it to you. So I'm really enjoying that, and I should be doing that more often. I hosted another live this week on TikTok, which was great. A couple of them came up, and I think at this point they're not even afraid to hide that they're anti-Semites. Like one of them just came up straight up, said, F the Jews, W Hamas, W means win Hamas, W Hezbollah, like, and then he told me that that I should be dead because I'm allowed to say these words, right? Like
you
it's
can
not.
totally say
I don't know how it works.
I think it's fine. You can say whatever you want. And I think that you should. I mean, you won't get, the algorithms won't block you.
Okay.
I'll make sure of that.
Yeah. So,
I control the world. Remember, I'm a Jew.
Yeah, exactly. So he basically said that I should be dead because I'm an occupier and I should blame my parents that they are occupying. So if I do die, I should understand. I don't know how I would understand that I'm dead once I'm dead, but that's a different logic to talk about.
Because you control death, because you're also a Jew. Yeah. You control the afterlife.
He literally said to me that I should understand if I get killed by these terrorists because I'm an occupier, which is absolutely mental. Another guy said that he was watching me on a live filming the Iranian missile attack. I saw it from my porch. Nothing obviously hit, and nothing came to my area, but I was showing it to the world on live. It was...
Wait, hold on just 1 second. I just want to make it clear so people, because some people might not really understand the gravity of what happened. So around, I think it was 2.5 months ago maybe, Iran launched over 300 ballistic missiles at Israel. Mm-hmm. And Israel, along with Jordan, along with America, and I believe Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm. Everybody got involved.
Got involved and took those down. But we're talking about over 300 ballistic missiles from a sovereign nation to another sovereign nation. Mm-hmm. That was the context. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was obviously outside on a live showing everybody the rockets literally being intercepted outside my porch. And I've never spoken to this dude. This dude comes up on my live. This obviously happened in April. And this dude comes up on my live in now June and tells me he watched it back then and hoped one of them would hit my house so that I die. Like the obsession these people have with us as well. Like I have never spoken to him. It happened in April, and you come up now on my panel just to let me know that you hoped that I would die when you were watching that. Forget the obsession with us. Forget the obsession with death. Forget the completely feeling comfortable telling somebody that you wanted them to die for what? For what? Because I'm Jewish, because I'm Israeli. Like what? Why do you want me to die? I've never spoken to you before. I've never said anything that... there's nothing anybody can say, first of all, that should make you want them dead. Like, I don't understand why that's their first thing, that they're like, yeah, I wished you died. Like, that's not a normal thing to say to somebody. And they feel so comfortable to do that. So I'm glad that that these people came up. I'm glad that they're showing the world how obsessed with death they are and how comfortable they are being completely, blatantly anti-Semitic. And I'm going to upload this to YouTube because I want everybody to see that. Nobody's forcing them to come up on these panels and say these things, and they're doing it for free. Like, they're just doing it for free, some of them with their full name. They have no shame at this point.
So in the context of the advocacy work that you're doing, because to me that's what it is, you're advocating for something. I think you're advocating for truth and morality and humanity. That's the way I see it. What scares you?
What scares me?
In the context of what you're doing?
Nothing. I'm not afraid of anything. Nothing.
Then why are you doing this? Because to me, I'll tell you what I feel. I'm scared that if we don't speak up, then people who really are clueless and not haters will see that there's truth they'll think that there's truth to what these people are saying about us. That's my biggest fear. That's what drives me, for my children anyway.
At the end of the day, I told you again the reasons I'm speaking up, and it's not because I'm afraid. It's I think there's an overwhelming amount of hate towards us, and now it's obviously been public. I think everybody's like, it's not the rise of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism has always been there. Now they just feel comfortable. Anti-Semitism is not something you just wake up one day and you're like, oh, I want to be anti-Semitic today. No. You've always had a prejudice against Jews. You always wanted to hate Jews. Now you just feel comfortable because they changed the word Jews to Zionists, even though like these people are completely remaking and making up like new meanings to words that already have meaning. Like genocide, apartheid, freaking, like they take every word.
Colonialism.
Regarding this conflict, they have made up a new word for it. So yeah, anti-Semitism has always been there. I'm not afraid. I think we have our country where we can self-determine. I can hang up an Israel flag on my porch and nobody's going to do anything about it. I can walk around with it with a massive flag in the street and nothing's going to happen to me. I'm not afraid of anybody. I hope these people that make these disgusting threats overseas come here and actually show how brave they are in our sovereign nation that they like to threaten so much. I think we have nothing to be afraid of. We have our country. We've achieved like the ultimate goal of Jewish people. That's why we say Zionism is over. Like now it's just like the preservation, I guess, of Israel. Nobody walks around Israel and thinks I'm a Zionist. I'm not a Zionist. Like they completely like brought this word back to life. Like nobody thinks this. Yeah, I hope these people come here and try something. Honestly, like just come. Come, try to come for us, try to do something to us and watch what happens to you, because we are no longer going to be afraid of reacting. We're not afraid of you. And I think more Jewish people, even overseas, that are experiencing these attacks by pro-Palestinians, like getting smacked, getting people come to their face, getting people beat them with a megaphone, like all these literally, I don't know what to call these attacks, but like, these terrible incidents that happen to Jewish people overseas, I hope that we react to that and give it to them in the exact same coin. And I'm not saying like go beat people up, absolutely not. But I'm saying if somebody like be diplomatic, be nice, be kind, come for peace, and if they start violence, protect yourself.
100%.
Don't be afraid to stand up to them. Don't be afraid to smack a bitch in the face if she comes for you and tries to hurt your safety. Absolutely. We shouldn't be afraid anymore.
I agree. And yet, it's scary. It's scary. I mean, we're in Israel. I mean, that's the amazing thing. I think people, don't understand who have never been to Israel, that really when you come here, you can just be who you are. And it's not just Jewish people. A lot of people don't know about our country, that there is a big Muslim population here who are, it's even funny to say it, not that they're allowed to be Muslim. They're openly Muslim. If I go down outside of my house, there is on the corner of a block, an Arab vegetable store that I buy from. A building right now is being put up. It's Israelis and Arab Israelis working together. I'm near Ichilov Hospital, where I was in hospital 4 years ago. I had 7 doctors. 4 of the doctors were Arabs. So you can be who you are. You can be gay. You can be left-wing. You can be right-wing. We're black and we're white. Israel is not a white country. So here we can be who we are. But I know that you get a lot of messages like I do, because our stuff goes viral, where people reach out to us and they say, I'm Jewish and I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm literally scared. And so I'm not saying it's easy for us to say, because I've lived abroad. I've experienced anti-Semitism firsthand. I went to a Jewish school in London. We were beaten up. Rocks were thrown at us, security, all of that stuff. Yeah. And it is scary. So what would you say, because I'm with you, it doesn't matter that we're scared. It's like, what do we do with that? And what you're saying is you have to fight back. Mm-hmm. But what would you say to people who write to you and maybe they do, I'm not sure, they write to me and they say, look, I'm scared. I'm in this town. I'm scared to wear my Magen David. I'm scared to wear my chai. I'm scared to openly be Jewish. What would you say to them?
I would say wear it proudly, wear it confidently. And if somebody comes to you, show them where the fish pees from. That's what I have to say. Be you. Don't be afraid. We shouldn't be afraid ever. Nobody is going to make us afraid to be who we are. We have been challenged and targeted by so many different peoples throughout history. And where are they now? Some of them on the black pages of the history books, and some of them do not exist anymore, literally extinct. Okay, that's what happens to people that come for us. So yes, it might be challenging, it might be difficult, it might be scary, but you shouldn't be afraid. You should stand up to it exactly like our ancestors did. They stood up to it, and that's why we're here today. We're resilient, we're not afraid. Don't say that you're afraid. Even if you are, don't say that you're afraid.
The first step to action, and an action is literally, to me, like wearing something. That's an action. Another action is saying something, saying that you're Jewish, because I'm right with you. Because the alternative of not speaking up is what's going to make you weaker. And I think the more that we speak up, the more proud we are. Mm-hmm. It also inspires other people, our other Jewish brothers and sisters, our other brothers and sisters who are Jewish, to speak up and say the same thing. And in that vocalization and showing who you are, you can galvanize around each other. You can get stronger together. And I think that once we start doing that as well, we will also be showing the world and showing Jewish allies that they should join us in this fight. So I couldn't agree with you more, as scary as it is. And it is scary. It is.
I understand, 100%.
It is scary, but it's what you do. Mm-hmm. I want to switch to another subject, which is a video that you put up yesterday, which I loved. And this is one of the videos that's going to be in the comments. Tell me about it. I mean, you know the one that I'm talking about.
So initially what happened is my friend sent a message in a group chat that we have. She sent one of his videos where I would like to read to you what he said, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And I would like to have a sip from my Coke Zero and glug, because it's just really fun to listen. Hold on a second.
So, 1 minute. So she sent it because it turns out that this guy comes up on the TikTok lives and he pretends to be very nice and very listen. Like, they do that a lot, by the way. They just pretend to be somebody else. They pretend like they want to have a conversation when they don't. And then she sent this video and she said we shouldn't platform him anymore. I've never seen him in my life, but they apparently have. So she just sent this video and he says this, and I'm talking with his face. Like I'm showing Eitan right now, like with his face, he puts his picture up and then he puts text over the picture. So he goes, if you asked me about Zionists, I'd say, hell yeah, kill them all. Look at this.
Wow.
Right? But if you asked me on a deeper level, I say that they are lucky I'm not in power, because if I was, I would make sure each and every single one of them burns to death in concentration camps to remind them why we don't agree with genocide. I just want to give a side note. Do these people hear themselves speak? Like, do they hear themselves speak? Then I'd rebuild a Palestinian state where Jews, Muslims, and Christians can live in peace just like they used to.
People don't know why we're laughing, because a lot of people listening don't know why this is so funny, but you're going to break it down. So.
Yeah. Just like they used to, because I guess there were Care Bears in mandatory Palestine before Israel was established, evil Israel. Just like they used to, because it was never about religion. Those that don't like that can simply leave. That's what he said.
Can I just see the picture of him again, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
This is him. Hold on.
All right. So this is I think he's like in his early 20s, wearing some just...
Wouldn't even be able to tell.
I mean, just some...
Probably early 20s, yeah.
Just some guy, nicely dressed, regular guy.
From London.
Regular
he has
guy.
in his bio, London-based. And he just posted that. And I went through his profile. That's what initially sparked my interest in his profile. And I started going through his profile, and I'm telling you, the videos he makes. Have you seen my story yesterday with his videos?
Yeah.
My God, I wish I could show everybody the shit that he said. For example, he goes...
And there's a reason, by the way, you can't see it right now, which Mia will tell you as well in a minute.
1 minute. So, for example, let me just go in my gallery. So he goes... One of the videos is, Jews need a homeland to feel safe. And then he goes...
Yeah, I don't care. I really don't give a fuck.
So he just used this audio, right? With his whole face, right? And then one second. He goes, what goes through my mind when an Israeli starts yapping about 8 hostages?
Not my problem. That's just not my problem.
Lovely.
His whole face.
Yep.
And then again, but what about, he goes, Israeli, but what about October 7th?
I don't care. I don't care. Okay. I really don't.
So we get the concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
and he's getting a lot of traction.
He closed both of his accounts.
Yeah, after you.
I made I tagged him on Instagram probably 5 minutes after I uploaded my video, which, by the way, wasn't about any of these vile things. I didn't even speak about them. I just said I am going to. And all I did is debunk photos that he brought and claimed that are Palestinian before 1948. And he just closed his account probably 5-10 minutes after not closed his account. He, on Instagram, he made his account private within 10 minutes of me posting my video. And then I posted it to TikTok and he made his TikTok private. And then within an hour, he deleted his TikTok account completely. Just deleted it. He had, 58,000 followers on his TikTok. Completely deleted it. Would post daily content anti-Israel.
Is it gone now or is it just private?
Gone.
It's
deleted
it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, does not exist anymore. I'll show you.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
So yeah, and then I went to his profile. I obviously saw the video where he put photos of what was these photos from history that he claimed are Palestinians before evil Israel came and took over and kicked them all out. And obviously, I love to debunk things related to history. I love history. It's one of my favorite things. And I knew, looking at these photos, obviously, because I know the conflict, I know the history, I know that not a single chance these photos were taken at the time he claims they were taken, or of the people, that these are Arab Palestinians or that were here before 1948 and Israel kicked out. So I knew this because I have the knowledge, but you're average person that has no idea and would see this video on the For You page, which, by the way, had 600,000 views and 100,000 likes, and he turned off comments on it, by the way. Before I even addressed it, he just turned off comments. So your average person that would see that would never think twice. He just put the Palestinian flag on these black and white photos. So they wouldn't think twice. They'll be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Israel kicked them out. They were there before. Black and white pictures. Scroll to the next video. That's the TikTok brain, I guess.
You see, but hold on. To me, that's the fear. That's the fear. The fear is people are going to believe people like this. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of them.
But there's nothing. What can we do? I've seen an Instagram post that claims a really outrageous claim that I don't even want to repeat, and it had 500,000 likes. There's no chance we're going to get to all of them. There's no, and forget the bots, obviously, that are that are very much contributing to the pro-Palestinian narrative. But at this point, I think what's happening is that people are starting to see through the cracks of the Palestinian narrative, and it's not because we're debunking it mostly, it's because of their behavior.
Yeah, they're doing it. Yeah.
It's literally the shit that they say in the comments. It's the interfering with, people's daily routine. It could be somebody who used to be pro-Palestinian and is seeing how the Palestinian pro-Palestinian protesters are behaving, or it could be somebody that doesn't give a shit about a conflict in the Middle East, because we're not the center of the world. We might think like we are because the entire world's eyes are always on us, but we're not. And your average, I don't know, I'm going to say New Yorker, I'm sorry, but they shouldn't care about what's going on here. It doesn't involve them. And let's not be let's admit it. How many of us just don't know about random conflicts that are happening around the world right now because we're willingly ignorant. We don't care. It's not our people. We don't, it doesn't affect our life. So why would we care? We're willingly ignorant about it. And it's very much impossible to just know constantly about every single conflict. And I'm sorry, but when you're not from somewhere, you don't actually know what's going on. when you don't have somebody from there that tells you, you don't know what's going on in these places. So yeah, I could speak about freaking Yemen and the civil war, and I could speak about Syria, but I don't actually know what's happening over there. So your average New Yorker that doesn't care about a silly Middle Eastern conflict, I'm going to call it that, like from looking from their perspective, and then they are trying to go pick up their daughter from school, and they have pro-Palestinian protesters blocking the road for no reason and chanting, and he can't get through to get his daughter. This man will be pissed off because they are interfering with his daily routine. So,
but there are some who would say, yes, but this is in the name of fighting genocide. This is in the name of fighting apartheid. This is in the name of fighting colonialism. That's what they'll think because they don't know any better. And
I think your average person that looks at that and goes, okay, but we are freaking thousands of miles away from this shit. You guys are doing nothing. You've been doing this for 9 months. You're not affecting anything. You're not going to stop America from funding Israel. You're not going to stop Israel's operation in Gaza. It doesn't matter how much you don't like it. It's like, for example, climate activists. You're going to go and you're going to spill red paint on the Mona Lisa and it's not going to do anything. Nobody is going to change what is going on. You're just ruining things. You're just interfering with daily scenarios of people. Like, you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
So,
I don't know that I agree with you about a couple of the things that you're saying, but I think overall I agree. What I'm saying is, like, doing what you're doing, and I think this is what I'm trying to get to, doing what you're doing is so important because you're fighting for the truth. And if we don't fight for the truth, if people like you don't fight for the truth and other people that we know, then there's a risk. And the risk is that people will believe the lies. Now, when people start believing those lies and it's a fringe, then fine. But we've seen what happens when fringe becomes mainstream. I mean, we can talk about the Holocaust, but we can also talk about other conflicts in the world that have nothing to do with the Jewish people. When people believe lies and they are intolerant, just like what you read from that guy, that's intolerance, that's hatred, that's anti-humanity. But he's a regular guy. Mm-hmm. And if you don't do what you're doing, then, and this is where I'm kind of like coming from. If you don't do what you're doing from a place of worry and concern and fear, but it's a good fear. It's not a bad fear. It's a good fear. It's not like you're not scared, but you are scared. You're scared that people are going to believe this shit. And people are believing it because why? Because we are outnumbered. We are literally 30 or 40 years behind the curve in terms of a narrative because the Jewish people screwed up and not talking for so many years about who we are. So we let people hijack our narrative. And there's a whole massive population that is uneducated. And like you said, they're indifferent. They don't know what's going on. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, that to me is the reason that you're doing it, because you're fighting for the truth. Because if you don't, and you're a leader, I mean, Mia, you're a leader. You're taking a leadership position and you're inspiring others to tell the truth, to fight for the truth. Because if you live in a world that is not truthful, then it's going to be a really, really fucked up world. And that's my fear. That's why I love what you're doing, because it's research. You're armed with the facts. It's absolutely unapologetic, and you deliver it in a certain way. So anyway, but I digress a bit, but I want to go back to what you actually did with this guy. So what happened? Yeah,
I'm going to get back to it. I just want to say, I don't expect people to watch my videos and immediately believe me. What I want is for them to see what I am, to hear and see what I'm saying, and to see the sources and to go verify it themselves. We're in a generation where we see, like, people will see a TikTok video and take it as a fact. They do not go to check it. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's overwhelming for, like, people's brains at this point, because the algorithms have just, like, evolved us to, like, 2-second attention span, and I'm exaggerating because it's probably less, to get out of the app, just swipe up of the app and go on another app. Like, it's actually overwhelming for the brain. So nobody is going to, like, go look it up. And it's funny because it comes from the same generation that used to make fun of their parents for believing every Facebook post they would see, right? And now they look at TikTok and that's fact. Everything I see is fact. You can't change my mind. Especially, and this is so dangerous because the algorithm adapts to what you like. So the algorithm learns these people, they see the content they consume, and they give them more of that to validate their like bias. So it's so extremely dangerous. So yeah, I understand what you're saying in that sense, but and the whole thing with the good fear. But no, I've come to the point where I know there are millions on top of millions of minds that we can't change, whether it's
the haters,
whether it's anti-Semitism or even like religious beliefs or prejudice when it comes to Jewish people and their history. And forget that. Let's put all of that aside. Just generations of lies. So the parents of now what people that identify as American Palestinian, right? Their parents have been lied to by their parents.
Sure.
So this is something. Imagine being lied to by both your grandparents and your parents, and now you have this idea in your head, and then out of all people, a Jew is going to be the one to tell you, hey, everything you're saying is incorrect. No matter what evidence I'm going to present to you, and forget the topic, it could be about anything, you will try so hard to hold on to that thing that is like, you're going to try to protect it more. You're going to be more defensive. You're going to be more scared of that being taken away from you. And out of all people, like the person that's telling you this is a Jewish person from Israel. Why would you believe them? You know, so it goes way like deeper than that. So I've come to the point where I don't think we're going to change their minds. I've made my peace with it, and I'm advocating again for the reasons I told you before. It's we have so many reasons to continue advocating, and I don't think it should come from fear. However, I do understand what you're saying about the good fear type of thing.
Yeah, it's not like that you're scared. It's just like we've been here before when good people do nothing. And I think that you can tell me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the more that we can look, I don't think that people are inherently good. People are not born good. They're born and they're taught good from bad. They're taught right from wrong. And if in humanity and where we are today, or where we should be today, is when you are bad or when you do wrong, there should be consequences. And we live in a world where you can really get away with anything. So, and that's part of the problem of culture today. You know, there are no more consequences anymore. You just have to look at like rampant anti-Semitism in the States right now, and these American college campus students that there are no consequences for what they were doing. Like the mayors weren't doing anything. The governing bodies of these universities were not doing what they should do to say no.
And then it got worse and worse.
And it got worse and worse, exactly. So, and that's what I say about the fear. It's like, if we don't do something, then it's not only the Jewish people that will kind of like take the hit. It's humanity as a whole. And I think that's why it's so important. Also, we're protecting our own, but what we really are doing is fighting for humanity. The fuck up, the mind fuck is that, and look, we say pro-Palis and we say pro-Palestinians. I don't think that we're against Palestinian, just like ordinary people.
Yeah.
You know, when we say pro-Palestinian, we mean the overwhelming lies that these people have been brought up with for generations.
Yes.
If we don't bring that to the surface, then the middle ground that is indifferent they're going to believe it, and that's going to swell. So this is a fight for humanity. It's a fight for values. And what you said before about seeing the Palestinian narrative crack, I'm a branding guy, and I've said this before, maybe you've heard it, but like a strong brand, and the Palestinians have a brand, but I think it's a very weak brand, because when you have a brand, it's a company, it's an organization, it's a service, there's what they do, okay, and what they say they do. Now, the closer they are to each other, that's a strong brand, because it's like, well, what they do is what they say, and what they say is what they do. It's like a human being. Well, Mia is X, Y, Z. She says she is, and she actually is those things. Well, okay, well, she's got integrity.
Exactly.
Right.
So I can see where you're going with this.
Right. So if you have a big gap, eventually, people will see that you're full of shit. And the thing is, the Palestinians that we're seeing in the streets that speak for equality, that speak for justice, that speak for fairness, that's
against violence, pro-humanity, against innocent civilians being hurt.
Right. So they say a lot of those things, and those are the pro-Palestinians we're talking about. They say those things, but then we see what they do. We see how they act. And I've never seen an Israeli demonstration that is hateful. I've never seen Jewish people just blatantly attacking people. You have extremists amongst us, but they're not many because we're only 16 million people in the world that they might be hateful. And if they are, it's typically against people who are hateful towards us. So they have a brand that I think is eventually going to crumble, but because of them.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're doing this to themselves. They're doing this to themselves. This behavior is making everybody see who they are. And like I said, whether they were a pro-Palestinian, which has happened, by the way, people who used to be pro-Palestinian and have seen the behavior and they're like, wait a minute, I don't want to do this anymore. We have those people even coming to the lives saying, I used to be pro-Palestinian. I've seen their behavior and I can't do this anymore. I've listened to what they say. I've been around them and I'm seeing that they are consistently lying. And when you consistently lie, that's why they can't keep one narrative. That's why every time they'll make a statement, it will contradict a previous statement because they don't actually have one, how do you say this? Conjoined? I don't know. They don't have one narrative that they can all agree on.
Well, they do have one narrative.
Hating Jews.
Well, no,
hating
but
Israel.
that's not a joke because, you know what? The Palestinian narrative, I mean, I don't like these, I think you're brutal. I think you're so sassy. You're like attack.
Only if attacked first.
No, that's not true. You do it, and I think that's great because there are certain things that just should be attacked. It's also your style. It's not my style, but I have a different style. But it's your style. And I think it's great because fuck that shit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
We have to go about it exactly the way they. I match energy. If somebody comes to debate in good faith, I'm going to debate you in good faith. If you come with your anti-Semitism and with your literal freaking digital intifada, which is what they're doing on live sometimes. I'm going to come through just the same. I'm going to match the energy and I'm going to leash my Israeli out on you. No problem. I turn off the accent like that. I become Middle Eastern. They forget because I'm so nice and I sound British and all these things. They forget that I'm Middle Eastern and these people can't handle that. They hate me. When some of these people on the lives, when they come with their disgusting prejudice and hatred, and I match their energy, they cannot handle it. They cannot because they don't come from the same mindset as I am. And that's also why I'm saying these Western people that are not from here and are pro-Palestinian and they come with this, for example, you're stealing our culture. Hummus is ours, not yours. You stole it. Do you think Mr. Abid from Yafo that runs a hummus place thinks about Jewish people that eat in their hummus in his hummus place? Do you think he just sits there and looks at them and is like, oh, these Jewish people eating my hummus, I can't handle it. This is disgusting. No, he doesn't think that because we live together. We're just chilling. All of us are just eating hummus in peace. You guys are the only ones coming with these weird opinions of thieves and you've taken this and you've taken that. You're stealing our words. Look, you're saying yalla, so you're stealing Arabic. We're living here together. And I want these Western self-identified Palestinians to literally come exactly as they are, right? Go to the West Bank. Just go to the West Bank exactly as you are, exactly as you act, with your Starbucks cup, with your nails, with your hijab that you put on sometimes and you don't put it fully correctly. Go to the West Bank. Say you're Palestinian. Go with the pride flag to the West Bank. All these pro-Palestinians that claim all this equality and go where the actual Palestinians here go against everything that you believe. They don't know the people that live here. They don't know what they believe and who they are. So just come and see. Just come and see. I'll fund your ticket. I don't need to tell you how it is because you can come and see how it is from the people that you support. You know what I mean?
And they never will, though.
They never will. They never will. And this is the crazy thing. They actually are going against everything they believe. Everything they believe. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I want them to come and interact. And even if they are Palestinians, let's say that their grandparents were here before 1948 and they are like literally Palestinian refugees. They are considered by UNRWA as Palestinian refugees. Come to the West Bank. Just come. See what happens for fun.
What would happen?
What would happen? The algorithm might shut down this podcast if I say, but it's like, I'm sorry. You guys are crazy. You don't know what's going on. And again, you're not Middle Eastern. It's a completely different culture. It's like how they project their history onto our history. What they project their knowledge about history onto our region. It's not the same.
But it's being pushed onto them by people who are continuing the lie.
Mm-hmm.
And the lie serves a purpose, right? So the people behind SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, or Voices for Peace, or all of these organizations, yeah, but there are people pushing that agenda. And they know what they're doing. They're creating a false narrative to eventually literally get rid of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the long game. They're playing the long game.
They are.
So my question to you is this, and this is where we get to some deeper shit, which is, okay, it's very hard for me to be angry at young people.
Mm.
I have 2 kids, and sometimes, we were children as well, and we don't know things. We don't know things. So I don't hate on students unless they're absolutely hateful, like that guy that you just, but the challenge is that the problem is ignorance. Mm-hmm. It's not stupidity. Stupid people are just, they're just stupid. You can't help that. But I think the vast majority of people who are lining up with the pro-Palestinian narrative, which is aligned with eliminating the Jewish people in the state of Israel, are ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think can be, and of course, I think a lot of people don't know how to handle this. So but what's your opinion on how to right that wrong? How do we go after the people who are spreading the lies, the people that we can't even see, who are the leaders?
I wouldn't even know how to go about it. The leaders of this shit, we're never going to stop them. We're talking, and again, if we go way deeper into this, we're talking about very wealthy, and it's not like just random wealthy people. It's country leaders that are
haters, absolute haters.
We are talking about Qatar funding these universities. We're talking about Iran. We're talking about the freaking Palestinian Authority.
No, wait, hold on. I got to stop you just for a second because again, a lot of people on this podcast, I don't think that they necessarily know that Qatar, all the people that you just mentioned, these people have a hateful agenda against Israel. They have a hateful agenda against Israel, and they have billions, and they don't want Israel here.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're talking about the Palestinian Authority when, they send money, millions, to these universities in America. But then you have the West Bank, which is so poor, and they have these terrible conditions, and that's why they have to commit terrorist attacks. That's literally what we are being told, by the way, on these lives sometimes. Look at their conditions. What would you do instead of them? I wouldn't commit a terrorist attack, but my question is, why don't you turn it to the Palestinian Authority? Why does the Palestinian Authority have so much money to pay to literal terrorists that commit terrorist attacks in Israel? Monthly payment, depending on how many years you sit in Israeli prison. By the way, look this up to anybody that's listening. Pay for slay. The Palestinian Authority has been doing this for I don't know how long. Millions are going into paying to terrorists in Israeli prison, and then they also get money when they leave the prison, and their family also get money for their terrorist attacks. They are being funded, and then you have the same Palestinian Authority sending money to the American universities. There's something a lot bigger at play here, and I think we're seeing it play out in the streets of America.
When you see people being rewarded for hate, okay, it's not just some random organization. These are, like you said, governing bodies are rewarding people for intolerance and for hate. Hate, in this case, is terrorism. When you see people who are, Palestinians who are in Israeli prisons, they don't just get put in Israeli prisons. I mean, there's a democratic nation here. There's due process. There's rules and regulations. There's a Supreme Court. They are put away because of terrorism. These people are rewarding terrorism? What does that say about the people behind these people? And I think that is something that I'm hoping that needs to get cracked open big time. I think that needs to get cracked open big time. And that's the scariest thing. How do you fight that ignorance? And that's what we're trying to do. But I think it needs to be done on a much, much, much bigger level, on a national, international level to expose.
Yeah. When we're being like, when I'm being told, oh, what about like when we talk about the hostages, for example, they'll be saying, oh, but what about the Palestinian hostages? And I'm like, okay, first of all, name me one. Just give me a name and I'll literally find you the terrorist attack, the hostage committed. Like you're calling them hostages. It's absolutely mental. So no, they're prisoners. And when they ask me this question, what about the Palestinian prisoners? I say, what about all the Palestinians that are not prisoners? We have about 6,000 in Israeli prison. Let's go before October 7th, 6,000 of them in Israeli prisons. What about the 2-3 million others in the West Bank that decided, hey, this morning I'm not going to wake up and commit a terrorist attack. I'm just going to sit down and have my coffee on my porch and maybe play with my kid, right? Like, what about them? Like, they don't seem to go farther, like a second longer to think, wait a minute, 6,000 compared to 3 million are in prison. Possibly could it have been that they've maybe done something to be in Israeli prison? It's insane. It's insane. And I don't know how we would go about debunking, every single one, because what they do is so deep. Like we said, it's so deep. We are talking about a complete, again, country leaders, media, just indoctrinating their own people. I guess we can go back to the Malaysians. I don't know.
It's a Muslim country.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I swear, I was so confused when I was. So one time on my YouTube, eventually I was like, yeah, I'm Israeli. Like everybody can go to hell. Because obviously I became an adult and I realized I don't care. And then I made a video called "Countries I'm Not Allowed to Go to Because I'm from Israel." This video, I'm pretty sure it's now standing on 25,000 dislikes. I don't remember anymore. It's from a few years ago that I remember the amount of dislikes. But the overwhelming amount of hate from Malaysians in the comments, because I mentioned Malaysia and all I said is Malaysia looks beautiful. Like what I was looking at is the trailer, quote unquote, of the country. So it's like for tourism. So it was like a video that shows how beautiful Malaysia is. And all I did was show that and say how beautiful Malaysia is. They lost their minds. They lost their minds because I'm Israeli. So I'm talking about a whole country being indoctrinated by its leaders. I'm talking about the IRGC putting videos from the Texas wildfires from earlier this year on national television, pretending like it's the Iranian the missile attack that they sent to Israel, when in reality nothing happened except a little Bedouin girl getting hurt by one of the missiles, and now she's okay, luckily. But that's all they actually did.
Let's go back to a second for Malaysia. This is a very difficult thing to talk about, and the enemies of the Jewish people and Israel know it, and they are leveraging that. And I'm going to tell you what it is. Malaysia is a Muslim country. Indonesia is a Muslim country. Now, when I say this, it's very politically incorrect to say, hold on a second, because then you'll be Islamophobic or you'll be deemed anti-Muslim. And I'm not. I'm not. But there is a problem with Muslim culture in the context of hatred, not towards Israel, towards the Jews. And I think that that's something that needs to also start being spoken about more openly. And someone who speaks up about that a lot is, of course, Douglas Murray, who's incredible, Bill Maher, who's been doing a terrific job of just exposing this issue. Now, when you live in a world, and you're much younger than me, you live in a world that is very woke. You're not allowed to say certain things because you're going to offend people. But there's also something known as facts. And in Muslim culture, with almost 2 billion people, I think it's between 1.6 and 1.9 billion people, there are a lot of radicals, and radicals make up around 10%. That's a lot of people. The moderates among the Muslims, and this is fact, the moderates among the Muslims make up around 40%. 40% of almost 2 billion people is a lot. Now, these moderates are against certain women's rights. These moderates are against gay rights. These moderates are against equality in the context of Western equality, the way that we know it. And also, going back to what you talked about heritage and what generations upon generations upon generations of people with their families are taught, is an intolerance towards the Jews. Now, something that is always spoken about by a lot of people who are pro-Palestinian or in the pro-Palestinian camp is they talk about the fact that, Jews and Jews and Muslims always used to get along. Right, you're laughing, but I want to talk about this because people don't know that that's not true. That's also a lie. Jews were second-class, third-class citizens. They had to pay a dima.
Jizya.
Yeah, jizya, which is kind of like
those that obviously didn't get slaughtered had to pay the jizya.
There were pogroms. My dad is Iraqi. My dad went through the Farhud, which is a pogrom. Literally, people were killed just like in October the 7th in Iraq in the 40s, in the late 40s.
I just quickly want to say I was speaking to a girl on it was a guy. I was speaking to a guy on one of the lives, and they were saying to me that I was like, "What about the Farhud? Like, what about the massacre of the Farhud?" And he said to me, "The Zionists did it. The Zionists orchestrated all of it. It's like there's nothing that they haven't twisted. Nothing." Even those parts of history, like we orchestrated the Farhud against Jews because why? It doesn't have to make sense to them. They just blame it all on us.
Because, and here's the thing that I want to talk about, going back to Muslims. And it's sad that I have to preface this with kind of like a pre-statement saying, I'm not against Muslims, I'm not Islamophobic, but that's what a lot of the radicals do. They don't allow you to say things which are true, which is there is a problem in Islam. There is a problem because there's an intolerance there. And I think that we, the collective, the moderates in the world, the middle ground, needs to start understanding that this intolerance and this hatred, it's what you said before. Remember when you said, and a Jew will tell me. And a Jew, a country, or Israel, I think that is the thing, like the base Muslim culture, which is led by clerics, are very intolerant towards the Jewish people. And it's not about Israel.
Mm-mm.
They did, on October 7th, they weren't saying we got Israelis. They were saying Yehud.
Oh, yeah, because here, that's the
Jews.
thing.
They were saying we've got Jews.
Mm-hmm. They're not afraid to say that here, which is the only place where they twist the narrative is the West,
yes.
Not here. My friend also, again, I'm bringing up the TikTok lives. She does these TikTok lives and she brings people from the West Bank. She speaks to people from the West Bank. She just asks them, do you hate the Zionists? Do you hate the Zionists? They go, huh? They don't know what the hell she's talking about. And then she's like, do you hate the Yahuds? The Yahuds. Ah, yes, we hate the Yahuds. They don't have a problem saying this. They say this like straight up to her face. Ah, yeah, Yahudia. They say, they use a swear word against us a lot. To them, I guess, you daughter of a Jew, you son of a Jew, of a Jewish woman. It's very much in their culture since. Again, and people should look up anti-Semitism in Islam. Now, that's why I think the ideology of Hamas and the ideology of obviously the Lion's Den and Islamic Jihad and all these people, Hezbollah and the IRGC, I think they're worse than Nazis. And I'm going to explain why. Because the Nazi ideology was just, we hate Jews. We don't like the Jews. We're going to exterminate them. But with these terrorist groups, it's, how do you say this? Integrated. The same Nazi ideology, the same anti-Semitism is integrated within the religion. And that's why this is so much more difficult to fight. And if you take that to the Western mentality, where you're afraid to offend a freaking block when you bump into it on the street, this is something you can't explain to the woke Western progressive quote-unquote brain. They can't fathom it because you're Islamophobic. How can you even bring up Islam? But then you have Muslims that either came out of the religion or Muslims, like moderate Muslims that actually advocate with us on the TikTok lives. We have actual Muslims advocating for for Israel on TikTok lives, or apostate people who used to be Muslims, and they are saying, this is being taught to us. This was taught to me. There's a guy from Israel. He's an Arab Israeli, and he used to be Muslim, and he's no longer. And he just made a video this week. He was saying, his name is Nadim. He's incredible. And he just made a video this week saying that, like, they asked him, why did you leave Islam? And he was explaining, ever since I was young, I was taught at the mosque, Jews are this, Jews are evil, Jews are these traitors, Jews are like all these terrible things about Jews. It's completely like intertwined with the religion. And then he just got out, one time and went to Tel Aviv, and he looked around and he said, oh, these are the Jews, these are the evil monsters that I'm being taught about. This is crazy. Like, they're nothing like I was taught. And that's how he eventually left Islam. He's no longer Muslim. But again, there are Muslims that know that these things are lies, and that's why they're obviously moderate. But the fact that we even have to refer to them as moderate Muslims, why are there so many extremist Islamists, like jihadis? Why? What is written in this book to make you behave this way? Like, it's literally like 1-to-1 with the religion. And it's so sad, because I do think Islam is a beautiful religion. And then these people have just taken these parts of the Quran and the Hadiths, and they've twisted them around and are bombing themselves for it. Why? Just live your life. Just like enjoy yourself. Like, have a cup of tea. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand.
I think that until Muslims, and first of all, I so appreciate and am grateful for, truly, all the people that you just mentioned or alluded to, the people who are not Jewish, the people that come from that world, who are literally risking their lives to speak truth. And it's not for the Jews. It's for humanity. It's for the world. People like Salman Rushdie, people like Mansour Ashkar, people like son of Hamas, I mean, so many, the list goes on. People who are saying the things that we should be listening to. Until you have more Muslims looking inwards, we're never going to get out of this. And I think that there is such a thing as accountability. The biggest problem is, again, going back to, how do you speak to someone who is ignorant? A hater is not born a hater. And I think that the world needs to kind of like come around to recognize the problem, see the problem, see where the cracks in the Palestinian narrative are coming from. And it goes beyond Palestinians. I mean, there's not that many Palestinians in the world, but there are a lot of Muslims, and see, why is there so much intolerance in that religion? Because there is, like you said, there's beauty in that religion, but people have hijacked the narrative, their own narrative, and are leaning into hate, leaning into violence. And I think that
people need to ask themselves, they really, truly need to ask themselves, why? Why are all these terrorist groups doing it in the name of religion? Why are they saying Allahu Akbar, Itbakh al-Yahud, when they butcher people?
Translate that.
Allahu Akbar, God is
great.
God is great, God is the greatest. And Itbakh al-Yahud is kill the Jews, like butcher the Jews. Why are they saying in the protest, Khaybar, Khaybar ya Yahud, which means there was a massacre of the Jews of Khaybar back in the days of Muhammad, and they are saying Khaybar, Khaybar ya Yahud. Why are they saying Udrub, Udrub Tel Aviv, which means bomb Tel Aviv? Why is it okay for, again, the ceasefire crowd to say bomb Tel Aviv, but when Tel Aviv responds, that's like,
because rooted in Islam is it's a religion, but it's also a political movement. And what they're trying to do is, the radicals amongst them, is to say, Islam is the way. The hatred towards the Jews goes back centuries, and it goes back centuries because the Jews said, and not just to Islam, but to all sorts of other religions, saying, no, we're Jewish. Yeah. We're not anything else. And the ancestors, the Muslim ancestors of these people, they fucking hate that shit. Just like, no, you will bow down to Islam. And the Jews have said no and no and no and no. So we're the first in line. But if a religion is absolutely intolerant and they are saying this is the way, the radicals amongst them are saying this is the way, then it's not going to stop with the Jews. And you saw that already. You saw that.
It's both. It's both. They call Jews and Christians non-believers. Like one thing that we don't have in Christianity and Judaism is Islam. We don't talk about Islam or Muslims in our religions, but in their book, they mention Jews and Christians non-stop, and they call them non-believers, and they will burn in Jahannam, which is hell. They are non-believers, so you should never trust them. It literally says it in there. You shouldn't speak to them, because if you even agree with them on one point, then you are a sinner. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And I don't think that people know that. I don't think that enough people know that. And I think that that's why I think it's so important what you're doing. And it's not that you're a hater at all, but that the narrative is being driven by radicals that are poisoning the minds for centuries, poisoning the minds of other people. And until those people don't wake up with that many billions of people who are believing that,
it'll knock on their door.
It'll knock on their door.
And the points that I'm making to you right now, I didn't just find out, I didn't read the Quran. I hear that from the Muslims that advocate for Israel. They know the Quran best. They know the hadiths. They know what it says in there. And when it says in this book that you shouldn't trust the non-believers, and that if you don't debate them because you can't agree, you're not allowed to agree with them because then you are just like them. Like, how deep does this hatred goes? Why does it keep mentioning Jews and Christians? Why can't your religion just focus on itself? And these Muslims that come to the lives, they're saying just leave them alone. Leave Jews and Christians alone. Let them be Jews and Christians. Let them believe what they want. And we should do our own thing.
So I think that's the most important thing that I want to sum up about this particular thing. Then we'll move to something a little lighter because it's heavy shit, which is these are not statements against Islam. And there is no apology for anything that we're saying. We are celebrating and advocating for and grateful for and saluting all those brave Muslims who are standing up and saying, hear it from me. And I think that we need to keep putting the light on them, everyone,
100%.
so that it's not some Jewish narrative that we're talking about. It's they're saying it, and at great risk, about a problem in their culture. And the sooner that becomes a little bit more open, then the sooner maybe other moderate Muslims or people who are more aligned with kind of where we are in the world today, and not tribal thinking, which is what this all stems down to. So it's it's tribal. It's you're going to speak for your own.
Yeah.
But when your own are doing things which are dangerous and intolerant and hateful, then in this day and age, we want those people to speak up. So I think that's the message. Lest anyone thinks for a second that we're shitting on Islam or Muslims. We're not. We're actually celebrating Muslims who have the courage to speak up and hoping that they start this movement that can bring out the beauty of Islam. Because if you say Islam today to someone who is not Muslim, it's kind of not exactly perceived as something positive. I mean,
I'm sorry, but if somebody was to walk into a coffee place and yell Baruch Hashem, nobody's gonna start running and panicking. If somebody gets into a coffee place and yells God is great, nobody's going to panic. But if somebody comes in and screams Allahu Akbar, everybody's going to start running. And I think this is an amazing thing that the Muslims that do come on these lives and do advocate for Israel and do make content, they are taking their religion back. They are taking this beautiful sentence, God is great, and they are reclaiming it. And I think that these disgusting, terrible terrorists that have hijacked this beautiful sentence are not the representatives of the religion. And I'm so glad that there are Muslims that are speaking up. I wish more of them did. I just also want to point out the recent live that I had last week. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and we had a great conversation over there with a guy named Muhammad and a guy named Fatih. And then another guy, both of them are Muslims, and another guy that was trying to talk about how, all these bad things about the Jews and how you can't trust them and all that. And another guy that came up, I hate the Jews. like it was crazy. It was about 4 of them, and it kind of 2 against 2, but it was like simultaneously 2v1, and they were defending their religion. They were defending their religion in front of this guy that came to spread, these 2 men that came to spread their hatred using the religion. And I think that's beautiful. And I'm going to say one more thing. A couple months ago, we also had a guy named Muhammad who came up on the live, and like we expected, obviously a normal debate of Palestine versus Israel. And he comes up and he just opens his camera. And we were so confused. We were like, they never open their camera. Like they are so used to like keeping it closed and just spread hatred, or some of them obviously pretend to be other people. It's just like, we're used to the act. We were expecting to a regular like pro-Palestine debate. And then he opens his camera and we're like looking at him, and he's wearing his like Muslim thing on his head. Then he's just like he turns his camera to his hand and he shows us a Star of David on his hand as a tattoo. He had a tattoo of Star of David on his hand, and we were so confused. I wish I could find this guy now. His account is gone. I don't know how to find him, but he is apparently like an advocate for Israel. And we were so confused, and he started explaining himself, and he was saying, I love Jewish people and I advocate for Jewish people, and I am around these. At one time, like he keeps getting attacked. Obviously, he's a Muslim that advocates for Israel. They hate that. Again, I'm going to quickly say, like when the Muslims that come up on the lives and they advocate, they immediately get called, you're a traitor to your people. You're a fake Muslim. They don't believe that they're Muslim. You're definitely not Muslim. So
tribal.
Yeah. And when they get called that, that's the most they can do on the lives, because they can't harm them physically. But when they have access to them physically, they will try to harm them. So one time, people tried to hurt him physically. I believe he lives in Germany. And he was hiding in a synagogue with Jewish people as well. And they protected him. And he said that his, and he has this picture with a rabbi. He was showing us like a lot of things. And he was saying that the Jews that he's friends with, like they call him the Muslim Mordecai, because he's you understand. And it's like, it was so sweet and beautiful. And I wish I could find who he is. But yeah, it was amazing to see a guy just reclaiming his religion, speaking up for Jewish people as a Muslim. And he was saying the most beautiful thing. So he had the Muslim hat on his head, and he was saying, I understand your fear of Muslims. I see when I walk around with this, I sometimes see the fear on Jewish people. So now when I walk around them, he said, I take that off and I replace it with a kippah. And he did that on a live. He did that on the live. Amazing. And he said, I replace it with a kippah. And that's how I walk around. And it's immediately like they feel at ease. And I don't think, obviously, Muslims should do that. You know, in Israel, we have Muslims everywhere. We don't think about that stuff. We don't care. But I think
that's leadership.
For him to get out of his way to do something like that, obviously in the diaspora with Jews around, like that is such a beautiful thought for him to even go out of his way. And I think that's beautiful. I just wanted to tell everyone that.
I think that is. And I think that anyone who turns their back on hate, and what is hate? It's just hate is just, it's so hard to put into words, hate and intolerance. And honestly, there's too much of that coming from that camp, and I love that story because it gives me hope that there are people there who will stand up against the hate, but not for the Jews, not for Christians, but for themselves.
Exactly.
And lean a little bit more into love. Okay, so talking about love, I have another question for you, which is completely different right now, and it's more about our world of advocacy. Who do you love to follow? Like 3 people.
You can't put me on the spot.
Yes, I can.
No, because first of all, I'm not good with names. I'm good with faces.
But 3 accounts that you follow that you think are just like, okay, these people I really love.
Yeah, so I love Mansour Ashkar. He's great. I hope I said his last name.
You did.
Correctly.
We spoke yesterday, by the way.
I love him. He's great. But I can't name 3 people. There are so many people that I love to follow. Okay, I love Jacob Yechiel, and I love his mom Danielle. They're incredible.
And you did some great work with them too.
They're so amazing.
And I sent you on the way to that film that you did.
You did. It was amazing to meet you both on the same day. Oh, I love Lee Kern. He's incredible guy. I also met him. He's so funny. Oh, there are some people you might not know, but Z Silver, I love him. He makes great content on TikTok. Incredible guy, debunks so many things. History Revealed, one of my favorite creators. I'm gonna send him to you. He also makes great, like he makes obviously Israel Palestine stuff, just literally with historical facts, and also he makes other content about history, which I freaking love history. So he's great. Josh. There's a guy called Josh. I'm obsessed with him. I don't know. He doesn't have a last name. It's him. You know him?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Every single
What's
one of his
handle?
videos, banger. His handle is _J 0SH_A_.
Okay.
Everybody has to follow him. Everybody. One of my favorite people. I want to give a shout out to everybody.
You give a shout out to whoever you want. I mean, it's important. I mean, I think these people are doing really good and important work.
For sure. Oh, obviously, Yosef Haddad, Emily, his fiance.
Emily Schrader.
Goes without saying. Yeah, goes without saying.
Do you follow Ask Danny?
Oh, yeah, he's great. He's great.
So when someone asked me in an interview, who are my top 2 Israeli? Well, you were one of them and him. Yeah, he's great. He's amazing.
That was so sweet of you, by the way.
It's not sweet of me. I think you're doing great work.
It is. It's so sweet. Oh my God! It's just that I hate to miss anyone.
No, but there are tons of people that you like. I really put you on the spot.
Matan Peretz, of course.
First of all, he's a real mensch in real life because we've met and he's funny as shit. But again, he's just like he's about facts.
Mm-hmm.
He's about integrity, and he's unapologetic, and he is funny.
Mm-hmm.
He's funny as shit.
He has great delivery. Adore him. I think he's fantastic.
He's actually going to be on the podcast soon.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, well, if I missed anybody, then I'm sorry.
You love him.
I missed a shit ton, so it's
That's
not
fine.
Personal. It's literally not personal.
Of course, no, but like it's good. Well, I think that that people should follow those people and many more. To kind of like wrap this up, I want to ask you about what it is that you're doing, because you are a very important advocate. You are serving a lot of people. You are giving the Jewish people and humanity, I think, a voice. You do it in your own way, in your own style, but it's fact-based. There's integrity there. There's your delivery allows people to kind of like connect through emotion, which I think is very important. Is there anything that you want to do with this in a more kind of like beyond just, you on your own? Because I think, first of all, everyone should follow you. They should find you, and they should follow you because I'm one of your biggest fans, even though you're wearing like pastelly sneakers.
What do you mean, even though?
I'm just fucking with you. Let me fuck with you a little bit.
I wish all of you saw this. He's just a hater. It's so cool.
Okay, Okay, so Mia is wearing a pastelly what is that color?
It's a turquoise, cyan, right?
Yeah, cyan, kind of like pastelly. Lovely, by the way, it is. But the shoes are matching, and her tissue packet is the same fucking color. So let me take the piss a little bit. She's amazing. No, so is there anything that you want to do with this because you're so good at it?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Is there anything I'd like to do with this? I would love to continue doing this. Honestly, like the pro-Palestinians are always saying, "Oh, you guys are getting paid. You guys are getting paid." First of all, I wish the Israeli government gave a shit that much about advocacy to pay anybody, especially to pay me to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Like that's just crazy. But I think they're projecting too, because I know, we know for a fact they're getting paid. But at the end of the day, like obviously, the protests and stuff like that, it came out that they're completely funded. Forget the fact that it's been since October 7th. I'm sorry if I'm like throwing it to another topic, but like
you're totally digressing.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. But that's sorry. You. So we want you to digress.
No, I'm just saying, like, immediately as soon as October 7th happened, I'm talking like, let's go to Motaza Zaiza really quick, which is a journalist, quote unquote, from Gaza. Everybody's in Gaza is either a journalist or a baby. But Motaza Zaiza freaking posted on October 7th videos of the hostages being taken. And I'm talking in the morning. And of the hostages being taken and Hamas in Sderot. And he posted these videos and then he's making these tweets. And in the tweets, I'm talking 8 a.m., October 7th. Nobody still even has any idea what's going on. He says, the resistance entered the settlements, the resistance took hostages. And then he has hashtag Gaza genocide, Palestine genocide, not Gaza genocide, Palestine genocide. Before a single drop before a single bomb dropped on Gaza. This has been orchestrated in advance. There is a narrative that has been provided to these people before anything even went down. And on October 7th, none of us is forgetting this, they all came out on the streets. I'm talking big signs, big flags, like celebrating October 7th. We did not forget that. We're not going to forget that. Before a single bomb dropped on Gaza. So...
And there was, 2 or 3 weeks between October 7th and before Israeli forces went in.
Exactly. And the first day, 3 days, it was just celebrations. I'm never going to forget this. Yosef Haddad made a video and he said to people, you are about to see very gruesome images coming out of Gaza because that's what they do every war. Don't let it manipulate you. Don't let it manipulate you against Israel. He said this literally. If I go back, I'll find his video. But he warned people from this.
I did the same thing. On October 8th, I sat down and make a video that went viral. And I made a video. And it was two things that you can do. One is speak up against what happened. And the second thing is, and this was on October 8th, do not believe the lies that are coming. Mm-hmm. And when they land, please come back. And I've reposted that video since October the 8th 3 times. And it's not like an I told you so kind of, it's kind of like, this is the plan.
Exactly. They're used to doing this. This is their weapon. It's one of their weapons. Every war, they do the same thing. So, of course, it's going to be predictable.
But let's go back to you. Because the question was,
so
what would you like to do? Ma, you're terrible.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So what would you, I was just like, let's start the whole interview again. What would you like to do with what you were doing?
I'm just remembering why I even got to that.
And
like
support,
the whole being
the money.
paid thing. Yeah, exactly. The whole being paid thing. So, the point is, I would love to just do what I'm doing. It's obviously the only reason I brought the being paid thing is because it's not sustainable. We're not being paid to do exactly what we're doing. We're not being paid at all. But yeah, if I could just choose to do anything, it's continuing doing this, advocate for my country, continue speaking up. And that's it. That's my favorite thing to do. My drive to do this grows and grows every single day. And I'm happy that I even have the privilege to be able to speak for my country. So if there's one thing I could do, is just that.
So, Mia, you're not getting any support really, but you're going to open a Patreon. That's what I understood. You're going to open a Patreon. And so anyone who's listening, please, I'll put the link to Mia's Patreon in the comments somewhere. And go there, and whether it's $5 a month or $10 a month, if I could, I'd give her $1,000 a day. Support her, because these people, I have a Patreon too, like this is a fight. Just support, because it's important. And I think that people who are doing good work should be supported. And the governments are not really supporting us, and the Jewish organizations are not really supporting us.
At all.
And Mia is rolling her eyes because she knows, and I know, and a lot of influencers and advocates know, there are people on the ground doing this work, and Mia is too, I don't know if the word proud or humble to say it is, but yeah, support. So please go there. Don't say anything to fuck it up, Mia, because I will kill you.
No, I'm
because you know what? I'm a little older, and I'm maybe, just like, but yeah, you need support. You need support. This is hard work. All those videos you make, and people will see them, that takes, it's not just like the video, it's all the years that went in to making those videos since 2014, right?
No,
2016?
I literally only stared making pro-Israel content on October 7th. I did make one pro-Israel video.
No, but I'm saying that your skill in creating videos, even if it wasn't Israel, it takes years. It's like, the plumber that comes over to fix the pipe, and because
I never really
wrong.
think about it like that. I just I don't even think about my past with content creation, I guess. It's like,
but it's
just doing what
I do, because I know what it takes, and I know that like the plumber that comes to fix something, and he taps on the little thing, and after 10 plumbers have failed, it works, and they say, well, how much is that? And he goes, 50,000, and he says, well, why so much? And he goes, well, that's for the 30 years of experience. So
that's funny.
What I'm saying is, like, you have gotten to this stage because you did a lot of things, but now you are serving people. And I think that by giving people strength and hope and facts, you are doing the job of what a lot of other people should be doing and would be getting paid for. And there's nothing to feel weird about by saying that. So please support Mia.
Thank you.
My pleasure. We're going to hang out, of course. We're going to keep hanging out. But you're amazing. So everyone, what are the handles again?
Yeah, on Instagram and TikTok, it's Mia Talias, Miatalias. And on YouTube, it's just Cray is Taken, just exactly like that. And I might change it to Mia Talias so you can just find me easier. But yeah, on YouTube, I'm going to upload the live streams from TikTok. And I'm also considering starting to just make YouTube adapted videos, like, the horizontal videos for YouTube when it comes to like pro-Israel content and stuff like that. I think I want to do that on this platform too. I think it's missing on there. And I'm going to bring that over there soon. But for now, I'm just posting the live streams, and sometimes the videos I post from Instagram and TikTok, I post it on there. So yeah, it's going to come soon.
Mia, thank you for coming on that.
Thank you for bringing me.
You are amazing. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Well, that's it. Thank you for joining me on I'm That. I hope you enjoyed the chat, and I hope you'll join me for our next guest. In the meantime, definitely hit subscribe, whether you're on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, or any other platform. And if you can, leave a comment, give it a like, and tell your friends. That would be brilliant. Stay tuned for the next show, and see you soon.